She humiliated me at the family reunion, until the hotel staff called me their real owner, and suddenly the power shifted completely. The family reunion always felt like a battlefield. Everyone arrived dressed to impress, and every smile hid a comparison. This year, my mother insisted we host it at Hotel Miramar, a luxurious place with marble floors, chandeliers, and a view of the ocean. To them, it was just another vacation spot. To me, it was different. This hotel was mine. 6 months earlier, my grandfather's will had shocked everyone. Instead of leaving his prized hotel to my parents or my perfect sister Lucia, he left it to me, Carmen, the invisible one. The one they always mocked for her small graphic design business and simple lifestyle. No one knew about the inheritance except the hotel staff and me. I had chosen to keep it quiet, especially during the reunion. When I walked into the lobby, Lucia was already there, glowing in her designer dress, surrounded by hugs and compliments. I stood a little apart until my mother noticed me. She frowned immediately. "I didn't think you'd come, Carmen," she said flatly. "Of course I came," I replied, forcing a smile. "It's family." Her disapproval was obvious. Then Roberto, my brother-in-law, gave me one of his mocking up-and-down glances. "Still dressing like a starving artist, I see. Not very lucrative, is it?" His smirk drew a chuckle from a cousin nearby. I wanted to laugh, if only they knew. My company was thriving internationally, and this entire hotel belonged to me. But I stayed quiet, reminding myself, not yet. The room assignments were announced. Lucia and Roberto, naturally, got the presidential suite. My parents, an executive suite. My cousins, deluxe rooms. And me? "Carmen, you'll be in 108. First floor. Next to the laundry," my mother declared without hesitation. Some cousins giggled. Even the manager, Miguel, looked uneasy. He knew the truth. Perhaps we could find another option. "It's fine," I interrupted, taking the key before my mother could say more. "Room 108 will be perfect." I walked away, their laughter following me like an old shadow. Inside, though, I wasn't hurt. Not anymore. This time, I had a reason to be patient. Because before this reunion ended, every single one of them would learn exactly whose roof they were mocking me under. Room 108 was exactly how I remembered it. A tiny box with one single bed, a cracked window looking out at the laundry yard, and the constant hum of machines that never stopped. Years ago, when I was younger, my family had shoved me here before too. Always the least, always the leftover. I sat on the bed for a moment, letting the noise sink in. But this time, instead of crying, I smiled. I wasn't that girl anymore. The walls could shake with the sound of washing machines, but I knew the truth. I owned every corner of this place, from the presidential suite to the kitchen ovens to the spa they were bragging about. That evening, the welcome dinner was held in the hotel restaurant. Of course, I was seated behind a pillar, half hidden, while my sister and her husband sat in the center, like royalty. They ordered champagne and the most expensive dishes. I ordered a simple salad. My father looked at me with his usual mix of pity and scorn. "Still living cheap, Carmen? We can pay for something decent, you know." "The salad is fine," I said calmly, keeping my dignity. The conversation quickly shifted, as always, to Lucia's triumphs. Her promotion at the bank. Their new house in an exclusive neighborhood. "Our Lucia always knew what she wanted," my mother said proudly. "Not like Carmen, wasting time with drawings." I sipped my water and stayed quiet. Let them talk. That was when the head chef himself approached our table. He bent slightly toward me with respect that didn't go unnoticed. "Was the salad to your liking, Miss Carmen?" "Perfect, Antonio." "Thank you," I replied with a small smile. Silence fell for a second. Lucia blinked at me. "You know the chef?" I shrugged casually. "We've crossed paths." The truth, of course, was that I had personally hired Antonio 3 months ago. My family didn't know it yet, but every time they mocked me, they were mocking the woman who signed the paychecks for the staff, serving them. And little by little, that secret was becoming harder to hide. By dessert, the comments grew sharper. A glass of wine in my aunt's hand loosened her tongue enough to say, "At least Lucia married well. Some people should take notes." My cousins laughed. My fork clinked against the plate, but I kept my eyes steady. They wanted me to break, to show hurt. I wouldn't give them that satisfaction. Just then, Miguel, the hotel manager, appeared at my side. His tone was quiet but firm. "Miss, there's a matter that needs your attention." The table erupted in amusement. Roberto smirked. What could possibly need Carmen's attention? Did the crayons run out at her little studio? I stood calmly, ignoring the jab. "Excuse me," I said, following Miguel into a side office. The moment the door closed, his professional mask slipped. "Señorita, I can't keep watching them treat you like this. They have no idea." "I know," I interrupted softly. "And I need it this way." "Not yet, Miguel." He frowned. "But you're the owner. This is your hotel. Why let them humiliate you here?" I walked to the window, looking out at the ocean glinting under the night sky. My chest tightened with old anger and old hurt. Because before I reveal anything, I want to understand something. Why, after 30 years, does my family still see me as nothing? Why do they enjoy tearing me down? Miguel's gaze softened. "Your grandfather trusted you for a reason. He saw what they refused to see." I smiled faintly, but there was no joy in it. "Maybe. But I need to know if exposing the truth will heal something in me, or if it will only confirm what I already know." When I returned to the dining hall, my family was still laughing, still talking about houses, cars, promotions. My cousin Javier bragged about his new sports car, while my Aunt Elena leaned toward me with sharp eyes. "What did that employee want with you?" she asked suspiciously. I took a sip of water. "Just a little confusion with the reservations," I replied. Lucia leaned toward Roberto and whispered loudly enough for me to hear. "Typical Carmen. Always causing problems." I smiled to myself. If only they knew the kind of problem I could become with a single word. That night, after everyone disappeared into their luxurious suites, I stayed in the lobby. The marble floors gleamed under soft golden lights, and the silence was a relief after hours of jabs and laughter at my expense. Miguel appeared again, this time with a porcelain cup of tea. He placed it gently in front of me. "Your grandfather would be proud of you," he said in a low voice. I looked up at him, tired but grateful. "Do you really think so?" "I don't just think it, I know it. In the months since you've owned this place, you've done more than anyone else. The staff respects you. They're proud to work here. Don Ernesto wasn't mistaken when he chose you." For a moment, warmth filled my chest. My grandfather had been the only one who ever defended me openly. He was gone now, but his belief in me was alive inside these walls. The next morning, the reunion continued with breakfast. As always, my family occupied the best table, heaping plates with delicacies from the buffet. I sat quietly with fruit and yogurt. My mother's sharp voice cut through the air. "Is that all you're eating? That's why you look so sickly. Too thin. Unhealthy." "I'm perfectly healthy, Mom," I replied evenly. "I just prefer something light in the morning." Roberto laughed loudly, drawing attention. "Light? Or cheap? Carmen, I bet you count every penny you spend. Admit it." The table roared with laughter. I took a calm spoonful of yogurt, ignoring them. But across the room, I noticed something. Staff members, housekeepers, waiters, even a front desk clerk, greeted me discreetly, a respectful nod, a subtle smile. My family didn't see it, too wrapped up in themselves. But I saw it. Their support strengthened me. I wasn't just enduring anymore. I was preparing. Later, my mother arranged spa treatments for everyone. Of course, Lucia got the premium massage, Roberto the hot stone package. Me? When I arrived, they told me my reservation had been canceled. "Sorry, dear," my mother said with fake sympathy. "Premium treatments are wasted on you. We got you a basic massage instead." I simply nodded. But inside, something shifted. If they wanted to keep humiliating me under my own roof, I would let them, until the moment came when the hotel itself would speak for me. And when it did, none of them would laugh again. By the second day, the cracks in my patience were showing. During lunch, the conversation turned to my grandfather's inheritance. "I'll never understand why Dad sold the hotel before he died," my mother sighed dramatically. "It was his greatest pride." "He must have received an irresistible offer," my father added. "If the hotel were still ours," Lucia chimed in with a little laugh, "we wouldn't be stuck in the smallest rooms. We'd be in charge." I nearly choked on my water. Stuck in the smallest rooms. She was in the presidential suite, sipping imported wine she hadn't paid for. But I held my tongue. As dessert arrived, my cousin Daniela turned to me. "Carmen, remind me, what do you even do for a living?" still doodling logos for bakeries. Before I could answer, Roberto added, I heard freelancers live month to month. Must be stressful, huh? I smiled faintly. My agency's doing fine. That was all I said, though the truth was my company had contracts with 3 international brands. Lucia rolled her eyes. You should learn from us, Carmen. Some of us aim higher. The words stung, not because I believed them, but because they carried the same tone I'd been hearing since childhood. That quiet dismissal, as if nothing I ever did mattered. Later, Miguel found me again, this time by the pool where my family lounged on cabanas with cocktails. He whispered carefully, Miss, the staff is starting to wonder. It's difficult for them to watch this. They know who you are. I know, I said, staring at the turquoise water. But let them keep wondering. It won't be long. That evening, at dinner, the chef once again addressed me directly. This time, he bowed slightly and asked if I wanted to approve the new dessert recipe. I saw the flicker of confusion cross my sister's face. Approve, she repeated. Since when does Carmen approve anything in a place like this? The chef's lips pressed tight, but he didn't answer. He looked at me. Only at me. My family noticed, but they still didn't understand. Not yet. And that was exactly how I wanted it. That night, I couldn't sleep. The faint hum of the laundry machine seeped through the walls of room 108, mixing with the echoes of laughter I still heard from upstairs. My family was probably still gathered in one of the luxury suites, drinking champagne, congratulating themselves on their perfect lives. I stared at the ceiling, remembering my childhood. Every family dinner, every holiday, it was always Lucia in the spotlight and me in the shadows. I was the quiet one, the one they called simple. The one who never deserved more. But they didn't know what I knew now. Power doesn't always announce itself with noise. Sometimes it waits silently, then strikes when no one expects it. The following morning, the hotel staff organized a private tour for the family. My parents, my cousins, everyone walked through the spa, the gardens, the ocean view terraces. I followed behind, quiet as always. At one point, my mother stopped in front of a mural in the lobby. Such a beautiful painting, she said. Too bad Carmen could never do something like this with her little drawings. The tour guide glanced at me nervously. I almost smiled, because in truth, I had designed that mural sketch years ago when my grandfather asked me for ideas to modernize the hotel. No one knew, not even my parents. The whispers continued as we moved through the hotel. Lucia should have inherited this place, one of my aunts muttered. She has the grace for it. Carmen wouldn't even know what to do with a property like this. I clenched my jaw, but said nothing. Then, just before lunch, Miguel discreetly approached me again. His voice was steady, but there was tension in his eyes. Señorita, the staff is ready. They've prepared everything, just in case. Not yet, I interrupted. Let them have their fun a little longer. Because the moment I revealed myself wouldn't just be a correction of their mistake. It would be justice, served cold, sharp, and undeniable. By the third day, the reunion reached its peak. A gala dinner was planned in the grand ballroom, the kind of evening my family lived for. Expensive gowns, endless wine, and exaggerated toasts. Lucia floated in wearing a glittering dress, Roberto at her side, looking smug as ever. My parents followed, shaking hands with distant relatives as if they were celebrities. I walked in quietly, in a simple black dress. The seating chart placed me at the farthest table, half hidden near the service doors. I didn't argue. I simply sat down, sipping water, while the waiters began serving appetizers. The speeches started, each one more grandiose than the last. My father raised his glass. To our family, he said proudly. And to Lucia, who makes us shine wherever she goes. Applause followed. Then Roberto added loudly, and to Carmen, who, at least, knows how to stay invisible. The laughter that followed cut through me like a knife. My cheeks burned, but I forced myself to stay composed. Moments later, the head chef entered the ballroom. He bowed toward the main table, but then he turned, walked across the room, and stopped in front of me. He bent slightly, his voice carrying in the silence. Señorita Carmen, would you like to taste the wine selection before we serve it? The entire room froze. Dozens of eyes turned toward me. My fork hovered above my plate. My heart thundered, but I kept my voice steady. Thank you, Antonio. Yes, please bring it. Lucia's jaw nearly dropped. Why would she approve the wine? She demanded, her voice sharp. The chef glanced at her, then back at me, calm but firm. Because she is the one who always approves it. Whispers spread like fire across the tables. Roberto frowned. My mother narrowed her eyes. What does he mean by that? She asked sharply. I set my glass down gently. I had promised myself I would wait. But maybe the time had just arrived. The night that had begun with humiliation was about to take a very different turn. The silence in the ballroom felt heavy, as if the chandeliers themselves were listening. My mother's eyes drilled into me. Carmen, what is going on? Before I could answer, Miguel, the manager, appeared at the entrance. His presence commanded respect. Even my family stopped whispering. He walked calmly to the center of the room and bowed slightly toward me. Señorita, he said in a steady voice, the staff is awaiting your final approval for tomorrow's arrangements. Should we proceed with the menu you selected? Gasps spread around the tables. My cousins exchanged confused glances. My father shifted uncomfortably. Lucia's face twisted. What kind of joke is this? She snapped. Why would Carmen have anything to approve? Miguel straightened, his voice firm now. Because this hotel belongs to her. The words echoed against the high walls. For a moment, I thought I could actually hear the sound of my family's certainty cracking. My mother's lips trembled. That's impossible. This hotel was sold years ago. Not sold, Miguel corrected politely. Transferred. Your father, Don Ernesto, entrusted it to his granddaughter Carmen. She is the rightful owner of Hotel Miramar. Every pair of eyes turned to me. Some wide with shock, others narrowed with disbelief. Roberto's smirk had disappeared completely. I stood slowly, my hands steady even though my heart raced. It's true. Grandfather left this hotel to me. For 6 months, I've been the owner. Every room you've stayed in, every meal you've eaten, every glass of wine you've mocked me over, it all belongs to me. The silence that followed was the sweetest sound I had ever heard. Lucia tried to laugh, her voice brittle. You? Running a 5-star hotel? Don't be ridiculous. But I could see it in her eyes, fear. Because deep down, she knew it wasn't a joke. It was justice. The ballroom erupted in whispers. Some of my cousins looked stunned, others avoided my gaze entirely. My father's face had gone pale, his hand gripping his wine glass so tightly I thought it might shatter. My mother finally found her voice. Why would your grandfather choose you? Over Lucia? Over anyone else? Her words were dripping with disbelief, almost rage. I took a deep breath. Because he saw me, when no one else did. My voice was calm but strong. While you all dismissed me as the simple one, he noticed my work, my dedication. He trusted me to protect his legacy, not exploit it for vanity. Lucia stood up, her dress shimmering under the lights. This is insane. You're lying. Everyone knows you could never handle something this big. But Miguel stepped forward, his voice unshakable. Señorita Carmen has already handled more than you imagine. The renovations, the new staff training, the contracts with international partners, every change in this hotel over the last 6 months was her decision. And the results speak for themselves. Gasps filled the room again. Some of my relatives looked at me with new respect. Others with something darker, envy. Roberto finally sneered. So what? You think owning this place makes you better than us? I looked at him, my gaze steady. No, I don't need to be better than you. I just need to stop letting you make me feel less. For the first time in years, the room was silent when I spoke. No laughter, no mocking comments. Just silence. I sat down again, calmly picking up my glass of wine. My family stared at me as though they were seeing me for the first time. And maybe they were. Because I wasn't Carmen, the leftover, the invisible one. I was Carmen, the owner. The rest of the evening passed in a haze of stunned silence. Conversations at the tables grew hushed, cautious. Every so often, I caught someone sneaking a glance at me, as if trying to reconcile the Carmen they thought they knew with the Carmen who owned the roof over their heads. When dessert was served, the head chef personally placed my plate in front of me before anyone else's. As always, it's an honor, Senora, he said clearly, loud enough for the whole table to hear. Lucia's face flushed red, but she stayed quiet. Roberto muttered something under his breath, but even he didn't dare speak up fully. My parents looked as though the ground beneath them had shifted, and maybe it had. For the first time in my life, they were the ones struggling to keep up appearances while I sat calm, composed, untouchable. After dinner, as the family drifted out of the ballroom, Miguel approached once more. "You've been patient," he said softly. Tonight, they saw the truth. "Yes," I replied, watching my family's figures disappear down the hall. But it wasn't just for them. It was for me. He smiled knowingly. Don Ernesto would be proud. I walked back to room 108 one last time. The hum of the laundry machine still filled the air, just as it always had. But tonight, it didn't feel like humiliation. It felt like proof of how far I had come, how much I had endured. I lay on the narrow bed, my lips curling into a small, victorious smile. For years, my family called me invisible. But now, they would never be able to ignore me again. Because this time, the story ended under my roof. And I was finally the one holding the keys.